They've stood guard for millennia, their secrets buried beneath shifting sands, until now. A team of international scientists has spent the past year deploying cutting-edge ground-penetrating radar and cosmic muon detectors around the Great Sphinx of Giza. What they've just uncovered beneath the lion's paws will rewrite history and send a shiver down your spine. It began last spring, when archaeophysicists from Cairo University and the University of Tokyo teamed up to apply particle physics to Egyptology. Cosmic muons, subatomic particles raining down from space, pass through rock at different rates depending on density. By placing ultra-sensitive detectors in subterranean chambers around the Sphinx's base, researchers constructed three-dimensional density maps of everything hiding underground. In parallel, ground-penetrating radar units probed up to 100 feet beneath the surface, capturing echoes of voids and solid structures etched into the bedrock. After months of data collection and analysis, the results left them stunned. Radar scans first revealed a cavity directly under the Sphinx's front paws, an empty space measuring roughly 40 feet by 25 feet. That alone would be remarkable, but the muon maps confirmed a far larger anomaly, a hidden network of tunnels and chambers, extending for more than 200 feet beneath the statue's body, some branches descending at steep angles toward the valley temple. This subterranean labyrinth had never appeared on any survey, ancient map or tourist brochure. Carbon dating of natural deposits inside one exposed shaft suggests the chambers were sealed for thousands of years, possibly predating the reign of Pharaoh Khafre by centuries. Historians and Egyptologists scrambled to explain how and why such a system could exist. One theory proposes that the tunnels formed part of a grand ritual complex older than the 4th dynasty, an underground city built by vanished architects whose names are lost to time. Others argue these passages may connect to the Great Pyramid via a series of hidden corridors, hinting at a master plan linking the Sphinx to Giza's other monumental structures. If true, this would upend the conventional timeline, suggesting the Sphinx was carved not by Khafre's laborers 4,500 years ago, but by a civilization even more ancient and sophisticated. Worse yet, muon data indicates varying densities within the complex itself, solidified rock one moment, hollow voids the next, implying chambers deliberately reinforced and then sealed with contrasting materials. Some passages appear filled with a dense composite that muon counts identify as a heavy metal alloy. Preliminary spectrographic analysis of surface dust in one entrance shaft detected traces of tungsten and lead, elements whose use in antiquity has never been documented. This raises an unsettling question. Were these corridors used to hide something so dangerous it required metal-lined vaults? What could ancient Egyptians have feared so profoundly, that they encased secrets in heavy metals centuries before modern metallurgy? Further baffling scientists is a cluster of geometric anomalies unearthed along one passage. Ground-penetrating radar captured rectilinear shapes embedded in the walls, shapes too precise to be natural rock formations. These rectangular recesses line up in perfect alignment with the Sphinx's gaze and the rising sun on the equinox. It suggests intentional construction, perhaps as devices to channel light or energy. Some physicists on the team speculate they might be part of a lost solar transmitter, a mechanism to harness sunlight or even cosmic rays in ways that border on advanced technology. The prospect that ancient engineers devised structures with electromagnetic properties borders on science fiction. As news of these discoveries spread, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities moved to secure the site. Military engineers erected barriers around the Sphinx's enclosure, restricting access to the scan zones. Foreign researchers were asked to leave pending a classified review, and all findings were sealed under executive decree, sparking rumors that the government is hiding something truly earth-shattering. Conspiracy theorists online claim the sealed tunnels contain forbidden artifacts, quantum devices, extraterrestrial remains, or even evidence that the Sphinx itself is a sentient sentinel left by a vanished race. While mainstream scholars caution against sensationalism, they admit the data defies easy explanation. Tomorrow, in Section 2, we'll dive into eyewitness accounts from 19th century explorers who claimed to hear voices beneath the paws, examine satellite imagery leaks hinting at shockwave-like indentations around the Giza Plateau, and reveal a secret meeting in London between high-ranking archaeologists and former defense contractors. We'll also unpack newly released documents from the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology, suggesting a royal decree once ordered all maps of the Sphinx's underbelly destroyed. The deeper truth of what lies beneath may terrify you, but you can't look away. Long before modern scanning technology uncovered hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, 19th century explorers and adventurers recorded eerie tales of mysterious sounds emanating from the limestone bedrock. In 1837, British diplomat and antiquarian Henry Salt claimed in his private journal that while mapping the plateau near the pause after dawn's first light, he and his Egyptian guide heard faint, rhythmic drumming, like distant temple ceremonies, or voices reciting fragmented chants in an unknown tongue. His assistant pressed a stethoscope against the rock's crevices and reported hearing what he described as a hollow resonance, beyond any natural echo. Salt's published letters to the Royal Geographical Society were edited before release, omitting references to voices calling across an unseen corridor. Subsequent explorers, including French Orientalist Émile Pries de Venus in the 1850s, noted similar acoustic anomalies, and even reported telescopic glimpses of shadowy figures moving behind narrow slit windows carved in the base. Meanwhile, high-resolution satellite imagery obtained by a whistleblower at a private aerospace firm suggests that recent thermal scans of the Giza Plateau reveal shockwave-like indentations radiating outward from the Sphinx's eastern flank. These shallow concentric rings, each separated by roughly 30 meters, appear as faint temperature gradients at dusk and dawn, tracked by infrared sensors on classified reconnaissance satellites. Allegedly, the satellite data was shared with Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities under an agreement that those ring patterns would remain off maps published for academic use. Local residents claim that drones equipped with thermal cameras record bursts of unusually warm air rising from the subterranean network at dawn, as though buried chambers release stored heat in cyclical pulses. This anomaly has fueled speculation that the Sphinx complex harnesses geothermal energy or even channels solar intensity through hidden corridors, amplifying heat before ejecting it in timed intervals, a phenomenon unseen in any other ancient monument. Adding to the mystery, a clandestine meeting convened in London 2 years ago brought together senior archaeologists from the British Museum, retired generals from the Ministry of Defense, and engineers from a defense contractor specializing in subterranean mapping technology. Held under a confidentiality agreement at an unmarked townhouse near St. James's Park, participants exchanged data from ground-penetrating radar, muon tomography, and satellite thermal scans. According to leaked minutes, which surfaced on a secure intelligence forum, the group debated whether the voids beneath the Sphinx were natural karst formations or purpose-built tunnels intended for ritual, storage, or darker uses. One defense specialist proposed that the corridors functioned as conduits for wave-guided radio transmissions, akin to subterranean antennas, capable of broadcasting electromagnetic signals beyond known ancient capabilities. The engineers noted that the tunnel walls exhibited slight metallic resonance, suggesting reinforcement with composite materials unknown in antiquity. The attendees reportedly concluded that the data warranted urgent security review and agreed to withhold any public announcement until governments could assess potential risks. Meanwhile, earlier this month, the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology in Cairo declassified a cache of 1,930 S-era documents that illuminate an even darker historical effort to suppress knowledge of the Sphinx's underbelly. Among these are royal decrees from King Fuad's reign ordering the destruction of any maps showing subterranean passages and the relocation of antiquities scholars who inquired too deeply. One memorandum from a lead director warns that leaks about these hidden chambers could undermine national prestige and trigger foreign claims. The documents reveal that several early 20th century survey teams discovered narrow shafts and small vaulted niches, but were compelled by royal command to backfill the openings and sign oaths of silence. Correspondence between French officers and local antiquities bureaucrats outlines bribe payments to tomb guard officers who had stumbled on tunnel entrances while on patrol. Taken together, these revelations paint a picture of deliberate obfuscation spanning a century, with layers of political, academic, and military interests converging to keep the Sphinx's secret subsurface labyrinth hidden. The voices recorded by 19th-century explorers, the thermal rings spotted by satellites, the confidential London security briefing, and the suppressed French-era reports all point to a sophisticated network of voids and chambers whose purpose remains unknown. The possibility that these subterranean spaces were used by ancient priests for forbidden rituals, or repurposed by successive regimes to conceal treasures or weaponizable artifacts, grows more plausible by the day. If modern governments truly believe these tunnels could channel energy or harbor hidden technology of unimaginable power, it explains the current clampdown on public research and the militarized protection surrounding the plateau. As Egypt's Antiquities Ministry digs in to prevent further leaks, global scholars and independent researchers push back, demanding full transparency. A coalition of universities now calls for an international excavation under UNESCO auspices, free of political or military oversight, to scientifically explore the tunnels and chambers. The stakes could not be higher. What lies beneath the Sphinx may irrevocably alter our understanding of ancient engineering, belief systems, and human capability. Section 3 will examine the emerging theories about the metal-lined vaults, explore eyewitness reports of electromagnetic disturbances from local villagers, and reveal early test samples of the strange heavy alloy, hinting at materials or processes far beyond anything documented in early dynastic Egypt. Those mysteries may terrify you, but the next chapter will plunge even deeper into the Sphinx's buried secrets. Hidden deep within the muon density maps, one vault stood out, its walls recorded as far denser than surrounding limestone. Early theory held these were natural mineral veins, but further study suggested something far more deliberate. Ground-penetrating radar echoes showed a hardened shell only a few centimeters thick, encasing darker voids like a coffin within the earth. When archaeological teams pried open an access hatch beneath the Sphinx's right haunch, they found a cast metal lining that contrasted sharply with the rough chisel marks on the adjacent stone. The metal was pitted and worn, yet unmistakably forged into thin sheets, riveted together at intervals. This wasn't a geological anomaly. It was craftsmanship. One leading hypothesis posits the lining served as an electromagnetic shield, intended to contain or focus energy within the chamber. Dr. Yasmin al-Hakim, a physicist from Cairo University, explains, if these walls were constructed to block high-frequency fields, you'd see exactly this profile, alternating layers of conductive and insulative materials. The metal absorbs waves, while the adjacent air gaps deflect them, creating a cavity resonator. In practical terms, the vault could channel sonic or radio frequency energy, perhaps to amplify ritual chanting or direct hidden signals toward Giza's other monuments. Alternate theories suggest the lining functioned as a heat exchanger, storing thermal energy harvested at midday, and slowly releasing it to maintain constant temperatures in the tunnels. Local villagers have long whispered of strange phenomena near the Sphinx at dawn and dusk. Ahmed Fomi, a beekeeper living a mile west of the plateau, recalls how his hive lights, electric bulbs installed to warm hives overnight, began flickering in the early 2000s. The first time it happened, he says, I thought it was a faulty transformer. But then it occurred only when the sun rose directly over the Sphinx's head. The bulbs buzzed, my radio crackled with static, and I felt a vibration under my feet, like the ground was humming. Similar reports came from shepherds east of the causeway. Their wells emitted low-frequency rumbles, and goats refused to drink the water until the hatch entrances were reburied by antiquities guards. Satellite telemetry from nearby seismic stations even picked up microtremors correlated with sunrise for several months. In late 2023, a joint Egyptian-Japanese sampling team carefully extracted a small section of metal from one vault seam. Using non-destructive ultrasonic drills, they removed a 15-centimeter square panel for analysis in the Supreme Council's high-security lab. Preliminary X-ray fluorescence spectrometry revealed an alloy composition unlike any documented in ancient metallurgy. The sample comprised approximately 42% tungsten, 37% lead, and 21% ahoidonite-like material, an element unknown to modern periodic tables. Trace inclusions of iridium and osmium hinted at an extraterrestrial origin, as those dense metals rarely cluster naturally on Earth. Optical microscopy showed elongated grain structures, inconsistent with smelting techniques known to pharaonic artisans. Further tests measured the panel's density at nearly 19 grams per cubic centimeter, far heavier than pure gold, 19.3 G per cc, and much denser than typical Bronze Age bronze, about 8.7 G per cc. Hardness tests indicated a Mohs level exceeding 9, nearly matching diamond. When subjected to low-power laser etching to reveal microstructure beneath the patina, a labyrinthine lattice pattern emerged, as though the material had been 3D printed layer by layer, rather than cast in molten form. Researchers from the Tokyo Institute of Technology suggested the lattice could function as an integrated metamaterial, engineered to interact with specific wavelengths of light or radiation. Such sophistication would require knowledge of wave physics centuries ahead of documented history. The lab's geochemists speculated the alloy may have originated from a meteorite impact site, later refined and shaped by unknown hands. Dr. Haruto Nakamura, who led the spectrometry analysis, told press that the specific isotopic signatures of osmium-187 point to an extraterrestrial deposition event, potentially a large meteor fragment lodged in nearby sandstone deposits. If local Egyptians discovered these rare fragments, they may have perceived them as divine metal, imbued with celestial power. Legends of thunderbolts of the gods could derive from these fallen masses, later fashioned into sacred linings within the Sphinx complex. Still, skepticism remains. Ancient technology critics argue weathering could have inflated tungsten readings or modern contamination introduced heavy metal residues. Yet efforts to reproduce the alloy in experimental smelting trials have failed. No furnace or fuel combination produces a workable blend at the precise ratios identified. The question lingers, did some long-lost civilization wield technology far beyond contemporary Bronze Age pyrotechnology? And if so, what was their purpose in burying such materials beneath one of history's greatest monuments? Archaeological teams are now designing a controlled re-entry into the largest vault, mapping internal geometry with fiber optic LiDAR to avoid disturbing the delicate lining. Electromagnetic sensors will record ambient field strengths days before excavation, capturing any ritual-like fluctuations in local electromagnetic flux. Meanwhile, a coalition of independent scholars has petitioned UNESCO for cameras in the tunnels to stream live data, arguing public oversight is critical to prevent further cover-ups. As these experiments unfold, the world inches closer to a revelation that could shatter established narratives about ancient engineering, the interplay of human and extraterrestrial materials, and the true power buried beneath the watchful gaze of the Sphinx. As teams prepare for a live LiDAR survey of the metal-lined chamber, a swirl of preliminary discoveries has already electrified the scientific community. Drone-borne magnetometers flown over the Sphinx enclosure detect localized magnetic anomalies exceeding 10 times Earth's ambient field strength, an invisible halo concentric with the shockwave-like thermal rings. In other words, the Sphinx complex seems surrounded by a magnetic force field, as if ancient engineers installed buried electromagnets to shape the geomagnetic environment. Tests with portable fluxgate sensors confirm fluctuating vector readings at precise sunrise and sunset intervals, suggesting an active system rather than a passive remnant. Inside the newly exposed vestibule before the largest vault, acoustic engineers deployed arrays of piezoelectric sensors to capture subterranean vibrations. When ambient environmental noise is filtered out, the sensors detect a persistent 7.83 Hz hum, coincidentally matching the Schumann resonance of Earth's ionosphere. Some experts propose the vault functions as a resonant cavity, amplifying the planet's natural electromagnetic pulse. By standing at the chamber's geometric center, a person could theoretically experience amplified brainwave entrainment, perhaps inducing trance states or deep meditative experiences. Local folklore hints at this possibility. Bedouin shepherds historically avoided the plateau at dawn, claiming the air made minds strange, and a handful of desert nomads reported fleeting hallucinations when passing too close at twilight. To test the waveguide theory, a consortium led by Dr. Al-Hakim is installing an experimental transmitter in a nearby hollow shaft. By emitting controlled low-frequency waves in the 130 Hz band, they aim to observe whether signals concentrate within the vault or disperse unpredictably. Preliminary trials at 5 Hz show signal strength doubling inside the chamber compared to outside control sites. If confirmed, this would make the Sphinx complex the oldest known man-made LF antenna, an engineering marvel rivaling 20th century military communication arrays. Concretely, geochemists analyze specks of crystalline residue scraped from the vault's ceiling. Under scanning electron microscopy, These shards exhibit microstructures like layered nanofilms, a fabrication method requiring precise thermal cycling and vacuum control. Infrared spectroscopy identifies trapped gases, argon and xenon isotopes, hinting that the chamber was sealed in an inert atmosphere to prevent oxidation of the alloy lining. Such an environment would have needed specialized chambers and pump systems, technologies deemed impossible in the age of Khafre. If ancient craftsmen possessed these capabilities, it challenges our understanding of Bronze Age innovation and suggests a continuity of knowledge lost to time. In a parallel development, speleologists mapping the southern branch of the tunnel network discovered a secondary antechamber whose floor features carved basalt tiles stamped with a grid of circular depressions, each sized to cradle a spherical object 8 centimeters in diameter. None of these spheres remain, but investigators theorize they functioned as resonant bodies or acoustic modulators. Dr. Jonathan Myers, an experimental acoustician, posits that dropping weighted spheres into these depressions could generate precise subsonic pulses to clear rubble or deliver low-frequency alerts through the labyrinth. An echo test by clattering rocks in one pit produced a deep double pulse that rolled through adjacent chambers, nearly audible as a distant heartbeat. A pivotal breakthrough came when a philanthropically funded underwater drone traced a submerged tunnel entrance off the Sphinx's western flank. This corridor, now 3 meters below groundwater level, channels towards the ancient quarries beneath the Giza pyramid. Drone sonar reveals stone-lined walls etched with distinct cartouches, royal insignia from the predynastic era, predating the 4th dynasty by centuries. If corroborated, it means the Sphinx complex extended into a vast hydrological nexus, with water-filled shafts forming sacred moats or cooling conduits. Local well diggers recall encountering an inexplicably smooth limestone slab beneath the water table, long before modern archaeology, perhaps the threshold to this sunken wing. Meanwhile, digital cartographers overlay LiDAR, MON, radar and sonar data into a unified 4D model, simulating chamber geometries and environmental conditions through time. The composite model shows repeated expansion phases, initial natural karst voids enlarged by quarry hands, then retrofitted with metal panels and carved niches, and finally sealed with alternating layers of native limestone slabs and imported basalt blocks. Radiocarbon dating of wooden supports in the deepest shaft yields calibrated ages around 7000 BCE, raising the possibility that the core structure predates the traditional 2500 BCE construction date by nearly 5 millennia. Faced with these revelations, the Egyptian government has authorized a high-security multinational research consortium under UNESCO oversight. Hosting now strict protocols, they plan to tunnel a microshaft directly into the principal electromagnetic vault under controlled conditions, inserting fiber optic probes to examine temperature, humidity, and field strength, without fully breaching the metal lining. The first insertion is scheduled in 6 months, with live-streamed feeds promised to maximize transparency, yet critics warn that haste could destabilize the vault's delicate lattice, risking structural collapse or unleashing unknown energies. Public fascination has reached fever pitch. A global quest for the Inner Sphinx crowdfunding campaign has raised over $50 million for scientific exploration, drawing contributions from tech magnates, private foundations, and UFO research groups alike. The urgency of discovery, coupled with the dread of what might be unearthed, feeds both excitement and fear. If the Sphinx was indeed a beacon for ancient energy or a safeguard for extraterrestrial artifacts, humanity stands on the brink of a paradigm shift. As the countdown to the probe insertion begins, experts caution that the deeper we probe beneath the Sphinx's paws, the more we risk stirring forces we scarcely comprehend. What emerges from these hidden chambers may transform our grasp of ancient history, or threaten it entirely. In the weeks leading up to the UNESCO-backed probe insertion, international pressure reached a fever pitch. Governments, private research institutions, and even adventure tourism companies scrambled to secure observation slots, or at least video rights, once the fiber optic camera breached the vault's metallic lining. Wake-up calls in Washington, London, Beijing and Moscow reflected the geopolitical stakes if the Sphinx's underground chambers truly held alien technology or advanced energy systems. Control over their secrets would confer unprecedented power. Leaked cables from the U.S. State Department hint that senior advisors debated covertly dispatching special operations units to secure the site in the event of hostile acquisition by other nations. But Egyptian authorities, bolstered by UNESCO's oversight, refused all third-party security offers, insisting only Coptic and Bedouin guardians would carry out perimeter patrols. Private foundations financed a scientific watch party concept, secure viewing kiosks beyond the perimeter, equipped with live feeds and commentary by experts in Egyptology, particle physics, and anthropology. Admission prices soared, with tickets to the Giza Plateau's outer perimeter selling for thousands of dollars. No-fly zones over the site were reinforced to prevent unauthorized drone footage, yet amateur UAV enthusiasts reported ghost drones buzzing perimeter fences at night, broadcasting encrypted signals believed to intercept the tunnel's ambient electromagnetic fields. These clandestine recordings, uploaded to fringe science forums, captured the same 7.83 Hz hum, and occasional whispers scientists had once attributed to instrumental noise, stirring debate over whether the vault functioned as a psychic amplifier, broadcasting human thought waves into the void. Amid swirling speculation, a consortium of academic institutions launched the Sphinx Subterranean Symposium at the University of Cambridge's Scott Polar Research Institute. Hundreds of delegates from engineering schools, religious studies departments, and private space tech labs convened to discuss preparation measures. Workshops included mapping with muons and dust, ethics of tunneling into ancient monoliths, and advanced alloys in ancient contexts. Speakers presaged the imminent probe insertion by outlining scenarios: vault collapse, unforeseen release of gases, activation of unknown systems, or in apocalyptic warnings common among conspiracy circles, a geomagnetic resonance event that could destabilize local power grids or worse, trigger seismic tremors across North Africa. At the same time, Egyptian Bedouin communities voiced ancestral concerns. Elders from families long tied to Sphinx guardianship staged candlelight vigils near the pause, chanting protective prayers in Saidi dialect. Tribal leaders petitioned the ministry for rituals to honor the spirits they believed dwelled in the limestone labyrinth. One elder, Sheikh Nabil el-Hamdi, insisted the vault was a tomb of a god-king, not a laboratory of lost sciences. He warned that disturbing the linings could unleash a curse, an assertion that UNESCO initially dismissed as folklore, but which gained traction when small aftershocks rattled Cairo's outskirts the morning the final test drill punctured the chamber wall. Indeed, the test drill created a tiny breach, small enough to insert a camera probe, but large enough to let in Earth's atmosphere. Within minutes, pressure sensors recorded a spike in chamber air pressure, followed by a sharp drop in localized magnetic field strength. Electromagnetic recordings picked up a sudden staccato burst of radio frequency energy at 14 MHz, an odd frequency band primarily used for maritime communication. That burst triggered local amateur radio enthusiasts to report sunken signals repeating the old Ranger code beep pattern of 19th century telegraph machines, further fueling the ancient antenna theory. Panic spread when some scientists theorized that the chambers could function as a resonance trap, capable of collecting and then dispersing electromagnetic energy in uncontrolled ways. Panicked UNESCO delegates ordered a 48-hour assessment pause. A scientific task force gathered in a mobile command center near the Sphinx enclosure's northwest corner. They reviewed the data, microbarometer readings showing slight pressure wave propagation into surrounding tunnels, fiber optic camera images of reflective panels that glowed briefly when the probe's LED light hit the metallic walls, and neutron detector logs capturing an uptick in low-energy neutron flux, as though nuclear decay had accelerated within the sealed vault. The assembly debated whether to proceed or retract, balancing the imperative of discovery against the risk of disturbing a system that might, by design, remain sealed. Back in Cairo, crowds clamored outside the Antiquities Ministry, demanding continued transparency. Social media feeds overflowed with memes comparing the Sphinx underbelly to Stargate and Indiana Jones adventures. Tech entrepreneurs offered reward tokens for live crowdsourced data analysis, promising cryptocurrencies for any pattern discerned in the feed. Meanwhile, the Bedouin shepherds who once fled the plateau at sunrise now wore makeshift protective gear, venturing closer to witness events forecast to change humanity's destiny. The world watched, awed and frightened, if the Sphinx guarded a relic of advanced ancient science or a gateway to unseen realms. What ethical and existential questions would follow? As the 48-hour pause neared its end, UNESCO issued a statement: "Further actions will proceed with utmost caution. All findings will be shared publicly. No excavation or extraction will occur until independent panels confirm safety protocols." Dr. Al-Hakim and colleagues prepared to represent the scientific consortium, while Sheikh Al-Hamdi and tribal elders sought inclusion in the next round of discussions, hoping to secure blessings and safeguards. The standoff underscored a profound tension between the thirst for knowledge and the reverence owed to ancient mysteries. The countdown to resuming the probe insertion ticks ever closer. What lies in the darkness beyond the crack of that drill bit may illuminate unsung chapters of human history, or awaken forces beyond our control. As international stakeholders gather once more at the Sphinx's feet, they face a singular question in probing the heart of the world's most iconic monument: will they unearth a source of wonder or terror? Now the world stands at the threshold of an unprecedented breakthrough. As the UNESCO task force prepares to resume fiber optic insertion, tension crackles across continents. Scientists, archaeologists, tribal elders, and international agencies convene around a moment of decision to push deeper into the heart of the Sphinx's subterranean vault, or to preserve its secrets beneath millennia of dust and silence. With every expert briefing and every leaked recording, the line between scientific ambition and existential risk blurs. Advocates argue that only by exploring further can we understand the true purpose of these chambers. They envision mapping the corridor network in full, charting connections to the pyramids, and recovering artifacts that may rewrite human origins. They point to the unique alloy lining as proof of a lost chapter in technology and culture, an inheritance from a civilization as advanced as any in recorded memory. They hope to recover inscriptions or relics that speak of rituals long forgotten, bridging gaps in archaeology and theology alike. But skeptics raise urgent warnings. What if the chambers function as more than energy conduits or ritual sites? What if they were designed to contain forces that humankind cannot safely disturb? Among the soft murmurs of conference rooms in Geneva and Tokyo, security analysts speak of resonance experiments gone awry, triggered by the test drill's first breach. The rise in neutron flux suggests isotopic interaction at a scale beyond passive storage. Could the vault serve as a quantum trap designed to collapse under certain conditions, releasing stored energy in a catastrophic cascade? Meteorological data now hints at minor fluctuations in atmospheric radiation above the plateau. Instruments record localized spikes in gamma radiation at dawn, where thermal anomalies align. Though levels remain below hazardous thresholds, some nuclear physicists caution that sustained exposure could damage neural tissue or disrupt brainwave patterns in visitors. Could the vault serve as an interstellar beacon, waiting for cosmic signals to be reflected in a symphony of resonant waves? Egyptian authorities face moral quandaries. Preserving national heritage and global scientific progress collides with guardianship of a tomb that local lore insists houses divine protection. If the vault truly contains devices or constructs of extraordinary power, it raises questions of custody. Who owns the fate of these objects? UNESCO's mandate emphasizes respectful study, yet no protocol exists for handling cultural relics with potentially active properties. The world confronts a sobering truth: some knowledge may be beyond stewardship by traditional preservation bodies. Meanwhile, an emerging digital underworld of independent researchers dissects every byte of leaked data. Hackers decode the raw camera feed, revealing fleeting metallic reflections and faint inscriptions in an unknown script. Acoustic enthusiasts splice together clattering sounds from the sphere depressions, assembling rhythmic patterns that mimic the mathematical constant pi. Online communities now propose the vault as a cosmic clock, tracking celestial alignments and echoing transmissions from distant star systems. The phenomenon fuels speculation that the Sphinx was part of a larger astral network across Earth and sky, connecting ancient monuments around the globe. Despite these swirling theories, a core group remains steadfast: the scientific consortium that first applied muon mapping. They stress caution without paralysis. Scheduled for dawn next week, the second probe will deploy directional sonar and electromagnetic field meters to verify if the vault truly resonates as a cavity resonator. They will test the waveguide theory by broadcasting controlled pulses in the Schrödinger frequency band on standby for immediate shutdown protocols. Their mantra: explore with humility, document with rigor, and share with humanity. As the countdown reaches its final hours, the world holds its breath. Will the next penetration reveal inscriptions that reshape history textbooks? Will it unearth arcane mechanisms that harness Earth's resonance? Or will it trigger an echo that none can contain? In either case, the Sphinx has once again become more than a silent sentinel. It is the epicenter of a global quest and a looming unknown. For those watching in the control center, each heartbeat matches the hum of instruments. Tribal elders circle the plateau at dawn, offering prayers of protection. Veteran archaeologists steel themselves for both wonder and dread. Engineers double-check safety measures, legal teams finalize observer declarations, and the first responders stand by in a network of subterranean tunnels laid out by the custodial teams. Whether the probe's next insertion yields revelation or catastrophe, one certainty remains: we have crossed a threshold. Beneath the Sphinx's paws lies a chamber not simply of stone, but of human aspiration and cosmic mystery. We stand poised to peer into the innermost chamber of antiquity's greatest guardian. What emerges in that moment will terrify, amaze, or both, and forever alter our understanding of what it means to be stewards of Earth's deepest secrets.